Hi, it's Chris again with Forex Therapy, and today is Tuesday, April 28th. And this is episode 15 and our April challenge. And I wanted to celebrate that we have had a breakout of the major trend that we have been following. This happened last night in a very big way, or early this morning, broke out here. It has since pulled back hard and is retesting that breakout. Which is to be expected. It might look like a real severe price retracement, but so far it hasn't broken below that line, nor do I expect it to. So this is exciting. If we had placed our entry order at 86, might have been a little high. I think had I been awake at the hour of breakout, I might have put it in a little closer, maybe to 850 or 85 rather. Just eke out a few more pips. But this was a safe placement of a entry right here. And once it completes this testing and touching of this trend line here, it will pull back up all the way up to this point here. So let's zoom in where we left off yesterday. And I like that I'm using this vertical line here kind of to benchmark the last moment, the last chart we were looking at. And so, as you recall, we had this small channel moving here, and it double, tripled, quadruple topped. I mean, it told us it's completely done. It broke out and pulled out. And for the rest of the afternoon, we had just, modest movement. We had this little channel that developed here, which was, of course, within a larger channel here. I wish I could just touch the screen and make this. I'm having to do this with this mouse here, so I don't think it's as clear to see. Let me zoom in a little bit closer. I think it's pretty obvious, but I want you to, again, to see all of the channels within the channels, if you will. And so, and yes, here's someone has pointed out, like, well, the trend line doesn't match up anymore. It's not at the top of these candles, which is true. When you draw it in one time frame, it doesn't necessarily adjust it, so that as you get closer, it distorts it. It's not as clean. So not to worry. Don't think that there's a problem here that I've drawn the line through the candles, when in fact, if you go back out to the hour, you almost can't even see it, but it aligns more nicely through here in this time frame. And then as you get closer in, you're kind of too close to the weeds. So not to worry that, again, when it doesn't make sense, it helps to zoom out a bit. It's too easy to get lost in the weeds and just not see what you first saw. So there's no better way to articulate that. I'm having a difficult time explaining that, other than you just have to be able to zoom in and out at will here. So the vertical line is where we stopped recording yesterday, and what emerged over the rest of the afternoon was this channel here, and into the evening it broke out, it retested here, and extended further to what would appear to be the depth of this channel here. And I extend this to a breakout, and sure enough, look at that. It hit it right on the money. So if we just take this pattern as a test case, because this pattern, as you have seen, repeats itself in every time frame on every day. You have the price forming the points of a trend line. I have to keep saying it. The trend line is something we draw. See, I can move it, maybe. I can move it around. But I can't move the candles. The candles are fixed. That's the price action in the market. So that's what's happening in the market. It's up to us to draw the lines that we need to help us see patterns. So without these lines, it might just make no sense whatsoever. And perhaps before we started doing these these sessions, that's exactly what you saw. It made no sense until you put these lines in. But then once you have them in, the upper line here, lower line here, you can measure the depth. You extend it from the breakout, which was first here. Yes, it pulled back up to here, but it's from the breakout. And then it extends forward for the same distance. And it hit it almost like it had planned to. So that is very exciting because that's what we want to see. So zooming back out, let's go to 15 minutes. I have to play with this a bit. So as I was retiring for the evening, this action here was happening. I wasn't concerned because I was expecting what happened overnight, during the night, was this really bold breakout. And if you recall, yesterday we talked about the possibility of, was that really the trend line, even though it's not a perfect parallelogram, and it doesn't have to be. That's my passion, is to see it parallel, but again, the market doesn't cater to myself. But you could see maybe more clearly in this time frame, the first point is here, the second point is here, third point disappeared from me here, and then a breakout on the fourth. And then it remained above the trend, fluttered around a bit, and then pulled out. So one way to have measured this is as you see it here. I thought this was a sputtering. I like to see a more bold break like this. You can see this, the darkness and the density of these candles. Let's just see if I can do this. Try to illustrate it better. I guess this is best. So you can have these little sputtering breakouts and then they just kind of meander and then a bold move. But you can see it both ways. You can see that this sputtering was just kind of tapping that line at the last minute before then plunging right through and pulling back firmly and touching that line. So I believe this is the breakout. And I keep repeating these things over and over again because when you're in real time, you don't know what the future is going to look like. So you have to kind of guess, and you can make it work in any, you can make the 3 points appear, and then you can also make them disappear a few hours later. So I know that's makes this complicated, but you can see that in both scenarios, if that was a breakout, it worked because we're above it. The price is above the line. And if this is the real breakout, which I'm going to call it as, we're still above the breakout at the trend line. So this is the moment of tension, because once the breakout is confirmed and it starts to move on, then it moves on, and then you can breathe. What you don't want is to not have guessed the breakout correctly, and then it goes right back under, and it forms a whole new pattern altogether, and we'd have to erase this trade. So I keep illustrating this because you could really draw the line two ways until you really, then you have to look backward and go, oh, I see what it really was. In hindsight, sometimes it's too late. But in this case, it's not. Yes, it's messy. The trend line this line is really messy when it comes to touching the tops of these and the bottom of these. But that's just one of the things we just have to kind of tolerate. When it broke out, I didn't expect it to pull back so quickly and so deliberately. It's good that it did, because once it's done, it's done. Let's take it down to 5 minutes and see what's going on. I'd swear it feels like a Friday, because there's just not a lot of price action today. It just doesn't seem to be going anywhere fast. What I will see is, let's go down to 3 minutes. So let's see, this morning it had reached this crest, was starting to round off. This is a pattern I've not really talked about much before, but it was rounding, got a little bit higher, rounded off here, and then tapered off. But you can see that if you make the lines work, that we had a uptrending channel ever so briefly, right here. And then it broke out back down to the initial breakout of the bigger chart. I did not trade this. I'm moving in this direction here to the ultimate goal toward the top. So this is an opportunity. If you weren't in, you could have traded this breakout right here, gone down and made some pips. That's fine. I am in it for a longer term move. And right now I'm just desperately trying to find, usually you see the makings of a new pattern and you can go, okay, I see this is going to turn around and I see how it's going to turn around. And I'm not seeing that yet. I'm seeing a lot of sideward movement. I'm seeing what looked like a double bottom here, but then here's another one. So it's just I'm just going to say this today is a Monday. No, it's not a Monday. It's a Tuesday. It's just a weird day. I don't know if fundamentally there's something in the news that's going to pop at 1:30 this afternoon, and everyone's waiting for that because it's just. I mean, look how it's ranging within literally 10 pips or less. See, we like volatility. We like big swings up and down because it's, again, to use the surfing analogy, you know, you want a big wave because once you get on it, you can ride it down into profit or ride it back up. But when it's just all this mishmash going sideways, there's not a lot of real opportunity to get in and get out. So I feel your frustration. The best I can do at the moment in terms of just visualizing where this could be going, and it's not a huge pattern at all, but I do see that. Okay, so for what it's worth, in this 1 minute time frame, I'm seeing this move here. So instantly I go, okay, I could, if I'm not in the market, place my order here. I like to use yellow. I like to save green for profit as the take profit, and yellow is the where I get in. Red, of course, is the stop. So here's a trade setup you could do. 1838. Place a buy order, a buy stop order here. When this plays itself out, this will pull up, hit this line, and in any time break through, because I see 1, I see 2, and I see 3 points of confirmation. So when this bottoming out finishes, it's going to come back up, and as it approaches for the 4th, break out this direction. So that is a really micro moment of a trade I see. I'm not sure what all this is here. It doesn't tell me it's going any which way. I suppose, no, we're doing this in real time, so I'm trying to figure this out as I'm talking. I don't see that this tells me it's up or down or whatever. If anything, it's just continuing to bottom out here before it decides to finally head on. So anyway, that's a small trade you could place. Again, I am always excited about the big moves, and I'm about to go out to an hour now. So this retracement, this pullback was very strong, hit it, and in the last couple of hours, it's just kind of tap, 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 tap. So the momentum has stopped. If this thing was hell bent, it just would boom, keep on going. It would just pull on down, maybe double bottom here, and then I'd have to draw this line back up to here and change the whole dynamic of this channel here, which would not be good because I would I would be down into loss at that point. So it's good that it's just sputtering and pausing the way it is. So I wanted to give you more excitement. I like this breakout to have happened, the retest, and then by the time I went on the air here, it was already roaring to profit. What did we learn last week? It took 2 weeks for this to finally emerge and then break out. And then it took a long time before it hit its profit. So patience is everything. You can make profit, like I said, in the 1 minute time frame. How much this would not be a whole heck of a lot. So if I traded this, I might only go for about 10 or 12 pips, which is fine. You know, depending on the size of the account that you're trading, 10 or 12 pips could be $100 or $120. So if you're anxious and I was like, I want to make some money, I want to do something now and I'm bored. Okay, here's an opportunity right now if you're not already in the bigger move that I'm in. Otherwise, we have to be patient, wait, and watch these things and draw on our charts and just reconfirm that we know what we're doing. Like, okay, this is breaking out and it's going to head north. That's what we want. And then it'll do it again and it'll do it again. And we just that's kind of how we bide our time watching the market make these moves. All right, so that is about all I have to say. Not too much other than we had this really exciting breakout, which is what we wanted. And we're kind of in the doldrums for a moment before it heads back up. I will, for the sake of recording, I'm sure this is making you crazy every time I keep moving this chart around. I apologize, but I'm going to move our vertical line, our moment in time, to right here. And then tomorrow, we can reflect back on all this mush and see where it ended up. I'm going to take out the 838. That's the entry you could place right now. I'm going to just take that out. The 8.6 is where you could have entered the bigger move. I'm just going to take that out for now. Keep this clean. All right. So tomorrow we'll come back to this line here and we're going to see where this has gone. And I expect more of the same, little uptrending and downtrending channels all over the place onto our ultimate target. As always, any questions, please text me, reach out, ask me specific questions. There are days when this is kind of humdrum and monotonous because the market doesn't give me a lot to work with, and there's days when it's super exciting. So I appreciate you staying the course because every pip is another dollar earned or another $10 earned, depending. And that's what it's about. All right, I appreciate your time and stay well. Maybe soon we can get out and do more things than stare at our computers. I take walks every day, sometimes before I get on the air here, so I'm clear and ready to talk. It's something to do while we wait for the other recovery, but in the meantime, we can have our own personal recovery, which is right here in Forex. So I hope you're enjoying all this and making profit or getting ready to. And as always, ask questions when you have them. Have a great afternoon, everybody, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take good care.